Meeting to order, Alpine Planning and Zoning Commission, meeting, 19 May 2025, 5:30 PM. City Secretary, do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
Thank you. We'll start with public comments. Anybody in attendance can make a comment on an agenda item. Attendees must be physically present. And you get 3 minutes, and the board does not respond to those comments. Just when you do get up and to speak into the microphone, and identify yourself.
Well, thank you, members of the Planning and Zoning Commission, for the opportunity to come up here before you. My name is Mike Payanes, and I have 6 lots on block 33 that have been commercial forever. And when I found out that they were not commercial was last year in June 24th, when you all met to approve the other 4 lots for a
Commercial.
laundry. Yes, Mr. Sean Hopper, I think, is the person that applied for it, and he's gonna build a laundry there. The building that we have in there has been in there since 1947. In the very beginning, it was a commercial building, a bar. And right beside it was another business, which was a pool hall that doesn't exist there anymore. And I bought the property, the 6 lots, back in 1970, and we've had a commercial permit for a bar and grill ever since then. And last year, the permit expired. My wife had knee replacement. We were in El Paso prior to the September the 23rd expiration date. And so she was there for approximately 6 weeks doing therapy. After the surgery, came back here, and after 4 weeks, we had to take her back. And I just forgot about renewing the license, and I should have taken care of it correctly. The only time that I found out that you're not commercial was when Mr. Hopper, I received a notice that he had applied for rezoning. So I go to the city hall across from the American Legion, and I told him there was no objections from my part, because I thought we were commercial already. So the person that was there, real nice people that work out there, they said, well, according to the map, you're not commercial. And we have been commercial ever since I've known. And if you want to, I have proof of the previous permits that we've had on the place. And I would like for it to remain commercial, or according to the update on the map, it was never done ever since then. And I would like to speak a little bit on that area. I know I only have 3 minutes, but that 4-block area in there is a very, very busy, and it's very, very commercial. At the corner on my end of the block, across we have Benny Keith. At the corner are the laundry's gonna be on the other side, right beside this. You have the food pantry, then you have Skeletons. And kitty corner from there, you have Ed's Cleaner, which is there, and a mechanic shop that is still there, but it's not operating. So there's a lot of it's a very, very busy street in there, commercial wise. I don't think it couldn't be residential, because nobody wants to be in the middle of build a house or whatever.
Okay, Mr. Payanes, your 3 minutes are up, but will you be here for the public hearing section? Coming
Yes,
up?
I'll be here.
Thank you.
Will I be able to speak again then?
Yes.
Okay, thanks, sir.
And then we can talk to you. Anybody else? Seeing no public, further public, oh,
My name's Gene Garrett. Ms. Escobedo said that I should show up tonight. I had some questions concerning some research that Ms. Isley, I think, may have completed that research now about completing my house over on 703 East Avenue F across the corner from the VFW Hall. Now, most people have seen that red house. They say, oh yeah, I've seen that house. It married my wife and I would love to get moved in there. And I'm trying to complete the work. I had Kim Langridge do most of the work. He drive the house in, he got all the sheetrock in and all, and got to the point where it was time to pay. Well, that's about when I ran out of money because I spent $157,000 in cash to him, to get the house built. And after paying the 60 for the property, well, that pretty much wiped out everything that we got for our house when we sold it in Temple to move out here in October. Now, at that point, I said, well, what's left over is not much to be done. And Kim said, well, sure. He said, you can finish this in 6 or 8 weeks yourself. I said, yeah, I can. I've got all this vast experience through my life of doing, light electrical work and plumbing and all that. I used to be a school maintenance supervisor. So gosh, it was every day doing that stuff. So I put in the outlets and the light fixtures. I put in the plumbing, the flanges for the toilets. All it's really simple stuff, put P-traps under sinks. But then I found that I couldn't do that work. Miss Isley said, well, you can't do that work. But now as the contractor and the owner and a homestead exemption, she said, well, that she thought I could do it with a homestead exemption, but she had to do a little research. Now she stepped up a moment ago and said, I think she's finished that research. She said something to the effect that I could go ahead and complete the things. Is that what we've arrived at?
I can, okay, with your homestead exemption, you can.
But,
Then I can
Yeah,
go
you
ahead
still
and
have to
complete
pull
that work.
permit. You
Okay.
still have to pull permit.
but public comments are reserved for agenda items.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is for the agenda items that are already on
Okay,
here and for
okay.
planning and zoning. It sounds like this is a separate issue, so.
Okay, sure. Yeah, Ms. Escobedo said I should pop in here and ask these few questions. I want to see if I can get that work complete, which essentially it's done. All the electrical and plumbing, everything's done. I'm doing flooring, get working every day, getting the flooring done with the kitchen cabinets and things put in place. I'd like to have an inspection on the electrical and the plumbing
Yeah,
next week.
that's actually not the purview of planning and zoning, so that's not something we can
I
handle.
was surprised that I was asked to come here tonight with these questions.
You can help me tomorrow, at across from the American.
Yeah, I've been in there lots of times to
She could
speak
get
with
help.
Ms. Isley, and I want to make sure we've got this worked out because I've been getting less information than I need to complete the project. She wasn't sure. I know she got her plate full. She had to do some research. The reason I posed the question tonight was to see if I can actually do the work, but she just said that I could. And if I can get the inspections done so that I can move in. I've been told that I had to go out and hire another electrician, and hire another plumber.
Once again, that has nothing to do with planning and zoning.
I,
But
I don't know why I'm here, except I was asked to come.
Tomorrow. if you
I didn't think it would
contact
be
Jessica,
either. Yeah.
She can help you, definitely.
Okay, good,
Alright.
good.
Okay, thank you.
I'll see you in the morning.
Have a great day.
Any further public comments? Seeing none, we will move on to public hearings. Ju, would you like to read the first one?
Sure. Public hearings, item A is public hearing to obtain citizen views and comments regarding new zone 2025-06-01, a rezone application allowing the applicant Elizardo Aranda to establish an automotive shop at the subject property. The subject property is located at 702 East Murphy Street and is legally described as lots 1 and 2, block 25, Hancock addition to the city of Alpine, Brewster County, Texas. The property owner of record is Elizardo J. Aranda. The property identification number of the subject property is 34803. The current zoning classification of the subject property is C1 Neighborhood Commercial District. The zoning classification, if the rezoning application is approved, will be M1 Industrial District.
Okay, anybody here to comment from the public on that? You step up, identify yourself.
Aranda. My husband is Elizardo Aranda. He's the owner of Buddy's Auto Repair here in Alpine. In the summer of 2017, we were in discussion with Roy B. Davis, which is the previous owner of the 2 lots on Hancock Edition. We were wanting to purchase the property to operate my husband's mechanic shop there. But before we told Mr. Davis that we would purchase it, we went through the process of coming to planning and zoning to see if it would be changed from an R4 to the city advised us to zone it to a C1, a C1, which is what we did. After we approached the city, they told us to change it to a C1. Went through the process, came to the planning and zoning, went to the city council. And they rezoned it to C1 because they sent the letters out to the neighbors and the neighbors said that was fine. So it was ready to, we assumed it was ready to start then, but some things came up and we ended up not building the shop in 2017. So a few years have passed and now he's ready to start building, which brings us to the current day. I went to speak to the city to get the permits to start setting up, everything to build. And apparently the C1 classification is not correct. The correct one that it should have been zoned to is M1. Industrial district. So we had to pay the fee again for this meeting, this planning and zoning, second time to come in and see if it can be rezoned from the incorrect C1 that the city in 2017 told us to do to an M1. So now we're here again, going through the process the second time, even though, like I said, we just did what the city told us in 2017. And we just assumed that everything was fine.
Is there a structure there already?
No, it's just an empty lot.
Just the empty lot right there. That's what I thought.
Although it's a commercial, it's not the right commercial.
Yeah, it should be, if you're gonna build an automotive place, it should be M1, I think, with the.
Unless we've changed it, automotive repair garage, I show under C2, is that right, Gian?
That's correct. M1 would also be appropriate though, because it's bordering M1, but we can get into the discussion after.
Thank you.
Uh,
I saw it, I was like, okay.
Yep.
I'm confused. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Did you have any questions?
Y'all can ask him at the.
Yeah, we-
action item.
Yeah. Mhm.
We'll ask him a little bit.
Okay,
Would you like me to read the second one?
sure.
Hey, public hearing, item B is public hearing to obtain citizens' views and comments regarding rezone 2025-06-02. A rezone application allowing the applicant Mike Pionis to establish a commercial building at the subject property. The subject property is located at 1009 East Gallego Avenue and is legally described as all of lots 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and the east 1/2 of lot 3 and 9 in block 33 Hancock Addition south of the railroad. Save and accept the north 20 Veris of lots 4 and 5 and the north 20 Veris of the east 1/2 of lot 3, block 33 Hancock Addition south of the railroad as the same in the map or plat records on file, or excuse me, as the same appears in the map or plat records on file in the office of the county clerk of Brewster County, Texas. The property owner of record is Mike G. Pionis. The property identification number of the subject property is 10748. The current zoning classification of the subject property is R4 Mobile Home District. The zoning classification, if the rezoning application is approved, will be C1 Neighborhood Commercial District.
Okay, anybody want to step up and address that? Okay,
Continue living over the next 2 minutes on the building and, what it contains and so forth. If I'm folks, the members, I'd like to pass my previous license that expired.
we're gonna be discussing it still, so this is
Okay.
just your public.
Okay.
Public hearing.
The building that we have out there, like I said a while ago, it's been there since the 40s. And that area that I'm talking about in there, and I guess I'm the only one old enough in here to point out that Harrison Street, North Harrison Street is the road that used to lead to Erlingo in South County. And so that's why there were so many, there's a movie house out there, a restaurant, a meat market, mom and pop's grocery stores all over the place. So at the present time, it's a very, very well used commercial traffic. I know that a lot of tourists that are pulling their cars behind on the bus, like Suburbans that they have and all that, they all go through there because it's hard for them to turn from Cobos into 118. So we go all the way up to South Walker and then turn out. They pass right through us all the time. And also the local traffic that passes through those 4 blocks, all the way from Neville Haynes to South Walker and 118. And if you go past 118 or on the other side of 118, there's Elisa's restaurant And a little bit further down, you have the old, used to be a big restaurant with a bar and grill in there. I think there's a thrift store up there also. So there's a lot of commercial use up there in that area. So, you know, and I'm not bragging or anything like that, but, you know, I have about probably between $60,000 and $65,000 worth of equipment in there to operate a bar and grill that's been in there. Some I recently bought, some of them, you know, been in there for a long, long time. So it's a great place, a great location.
Okay, thank you. We'll
Mhm.
probably have some more questions for you here. So, approval of the minutes of the previous board meeting. We did not have one last month, but this would be from the March 24th. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I second.
We do have one change. There is one error in it. Um,
Okay, so,
Benjamin was here.
so motion to approve with the amendment?
With the
Yes,
amendment.
please, yes.
Benjamin was here. was
Okay,
present.
perfect. If we can just get a vote on
Need
it.
it. I'll vote for the change and the and approval. That is unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay. Discussion items. Okay. And Megan's, oh, you are here. Sitting there quietly. Discussion item A, would you want to step up and read that, Megan, and then start us on it?
Discussion item A is to discussion regarding the zoning designation of 601 South Walker. The property ID of the subject property is 10842. And the property owner of record is Melinda A. Vega. I did ask Council Member Acevedo to be here this evening. This item was actually on a city council agenda and regarding the zoning concerns with the property. They would like to rezone it, but it's not contiguous to the properties that they want to rezone to. There's a property in the middle that would also need to be rezoned. Council decided or requested that the item go back before before planning and zoning for further discussion to get your guys' input and recommendation on how to move forward with the property. If the changes were made, doesn't meet the recommendations for a specific type of spot zoning where it met all of those requirements, or reaching out to the property in the middle. I think Rick and you guys were gonna try to work on that as well. Getting the property in the middle, which is a vacant lot to rezone, so that it would be contiguous. But it is on the item at the request of council for further discussion of planning and zoning.
Now, looking at the map, isn't this spot zoning?
It is.
It is.
You are allowed to spot zone, as long as it meets the 4 requirements. Is it beneficial to the city? Geo has access to the
Yeah.
internet faster than I do.
Came before us last year.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
601.
been brought up multiple
Been here,
times.
yeah.
And what was the problem? Why it was not approved? Because it was
So
spot
the
zoning?
initial time was spot zoning and
Right.
then the recommendation on the changes to the ordinance did take place. And of course, it was asked based off of recommendations from planning and zoning. But then it was brought back before council again with the consideration is, do we try to rezone the property in the middle as well? Coordinating with that property
That's what I
owner.
recall. Yeah, they're talking.
And then it was, bring it back to planning and zoning, get their insight and recommendations. Do you want to move forward with a specific type of spot zoning? Is it going to meet those requirements that were outlined in the ordinance updates? Or, it's just for discussion. And I do believe Ms. Vega is online as well, so she can provide some additional insight. And then, of course, Ms. Escobedo is here as well.
So I talked to the property owner that has the vacant land there next door previously, when I was looking at that building. And he had said that he was considering moving it to commercial, but he has health problems. So he can't come out here. But I don't know anything further than that. I know Melinda talked to him So she might have more information. But, you know, originally that place has always been commercial. City council member moved it to. Yeah, R4 back in, I think it was 2017 or something. And the others didn't even know it.
I have a question. It shows exhibit A and it's got attachments here, but that's all for 608 South Walker Street, which is, I'm assuming, off the street from it, and it doesn't jive with some of the notes that we had on
Yeah, I was gonna mention that too. It doesn't,
Yeah,
they
it
they
sort
don't
of-
coordinate.
there. Yeah, the notes for the exhibits were previous from, I think it has Miss Vegas.
Yeah,
name.
my address is 601 South Walker Street.
Right, but this shows. the
This shows
notes that they
608.
pulled for it Showed 608 Walker Street. So
As,
it didn't
as what
make
you wanna
sense to me.
change.
601's the one they want to change.
601 is what we want to change, yes.
Okay, so
And
what,
that's the property it's been a commercial for a long time. It used to be the Flamingo Bar since the 40s as well. And that's why we've been trying to change it back to commercial for over a year. And I did speak to the owner between the Flamingo and Aguilar's, and like Lucy had mentioned, and he did say that he did want to at one time change his property to commercial, but at this time he's having a family with his, I think it's his parents that he's dealing with, their illnesses, and he's not able to be coming back and forth to Alpine to take care of all the paperwork. And so, but I know he said he was willing at some time, he said when his family's not going through so much, that he does want to change it eventually to commercial. And at one point, they had told me as well that they're going to be making all that Highway 118 commercial property as well. So I was just,
yep.
Well, there's.
So we just double checked everything for clarification. You can disregard the address side of it. It's a typo, but the property description is the same property.
So everything
Yeah.
in there was.
So the legal description is,
Okay,
And to
thank you.
provide further clarification, we reviewed every zoning map that we have, and it's always been zoned R4. It has never officially
We've
been
never
converted
moved it
as
out.
commercial. However, they did operate a bar on the property in the past, but in the past.
I do remember reading that in there, and so that's what threw me. I was like, well, it's talking about the history of it.
So in 2000, people
Page
did
10.
not want it. The
In
neighbors did not
2000,
want
The
it.
neighbor
the
from
previous
the street
owners
bar
approached the
there,
city council
yeah.
to change it to commercial, no, it did not. Due
and
to-
that's what we didn't understand because it's always been a business there. And that's why I didn't even know that it was not commercial till we tried. So that's why.
Side of that
I would-
property is Aguilar's.
Yes.
Right.
And then there's, right, and then there's a house.
that's why.
They're all like very close together.
The conversation with council when it was on the agenda was if the middle property could be rezoned, then it would just move smoothly across and it would develop that commercial side,
Not necessarily,
Um,
there's a house on the other side.
of the other side of that one.
And then another business.
In
But
regards to
there's
for
like,
he can fill it out online. He could print out the application and submit it. He doesn't actually have to physically be here.
Oh,
We have that happen a lot of times where people will submit it and they're not physically present to have the conversation. Maybe they go by Zoom or they don't show up at all. But that is an option if he's willing to do it to move that direction.
but my thing is like, what if he's not willing to do it right now? Like, I'm ready to make my property commercial. I've been dealing with y'all for almost a year and a half already. And I'm ready to get this motion of approval.
Trying to do last year when they were trying to change the.
The lady was in here with the plant nursery or something.
that was me,
Is
Oh,
that
that
you
was you,
still
okay.
last year?
not anymore, but that was me.
Okay, that's what I was like, well.
And that's what you were trying to do?
I was trying to do a plant nursery there, but it took too long and
And-
I
And
couldn't
it was
hold
a-
out anymore on,
You
sit
guys
on
were trying to do a
inventory.
commercial then, right?
So the other option is, of course, for P and Z to have the conversation about the possibility if the property meets all of the exceptions to the spot zoning. And making that recommendation to move forward based on those, they would still refill or fill out the rezoning application and move forward. The council would have the recommendation from P and Z that outlines you feel that it meets those requirements as part of the exceptions. And
Okay.
Gio's pulling that up real fast.
Back to
Okay.
Belinda's question, I wonder, so if this guy,
And you're trying to get it,
you can't get a hold of him, or he can't do it, or whatever, decides not to do it. Because he has his hands full, then what happens?
That's what I was just saying.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Planning and zoning has to look at those exceptions to the spot zoning to see if it meets all of those requirements. And then could make a recommendation. They would fill out the rezone application. The planning and zoning would have the recommendation based off of, okay, it meets all those requirements. And that would be what goes forward to city council.
what businesses, if you're not doing plants this time, what businesses are your? She just
I
want
don't
to rezone it, she just wants it rezoned.
She wants it rezoned, and the reason is she can't really get the numbers that she wants
On the
Yeah,
building unless
on the
it's,
building unless
commercial.
it's commercial. And it clearly is
Because
commercial.
in the records that Gio had sent me, my parents brought up this issue back in the 2000s. And
We have the notes here on it, we were just confused on the address that it showed on the notes.
that's just a typo.
Yeah.
But
Now I
but-
know.
But that's what I'm trying to, because my parents did address this in the 2000s. And we're still dealing with this till right now, to 2025. So I don't know what is it that is holding it back from changing it to commercial. It's the building is there to make it commercial. Between that empty building, there's no structure there. It's just land. And then it's Aguilar's. And there's like a house there, and there's another business on the other side of 118. So it goes on and on.
Yeah, but the problem is it is spot zoning and that's not
It's
something
against
where
the
we,
state laws.
it's
for
against
that.
state law to
We
spot
can't just
zone.
spot
Except
zoning.
for certain conditions, and we need to make sure it meets those conditions.
Okay. And what are the conditions?
That's what Gio's gonna pull up right now
Okay.
for the exceptions. While you're doing that, have any of I know there's some residential areas there too. Has any of the residents spoken on this issue that you're aware of?
No, that's why we would go through, they'd have to go through the rezoning application.
Right.
So the discussion is, what are the options available? Council had this on the agenda. They asked it to go back to planning and zoning for further discussion. The two options are, one, if the gentleman in the middle is willing to rezone as well, and then two,
That makes
does
it
it meet
easy,
the
yep.
conditions of the possible spot
That's what
zoning?
we sent it back for last time.
But then
We
it
just
would
get
go
the people
through
out
the rezone application, and that way
Print the
people get
numbers.
notified. There's public hearings as well.
Yeah.
I don't understand. There's Aguilar's, which they plan on renting out, so it's gonna be open. So you have Aguilar's, and then you have a house, and then you have a restaurant.
It's because of the house, it's residential, that's,
But you have two.
That's spot zoning.
That's-
businesses
but it-
on the outside.
but those are areas,
Priority.
those are residential areas.
If you have a residence there, even if I live in a house, I live residential,
that.
a zone commercial. But anytime one of the commercial people around me, Benjamin knows, has to do something, you have to come get my approval on it because I'm the resident in the area.
It's the
Okay.
spot zoning that became illegal.
Mhm.
Well,
I know
actually, it was
spot zoning,
reinforced to
yes.
be. So he's pulled it up and there's four, guidelines that have to be met.
Kind of lengthy. So the Texas Supreme Court established 4 guidelines to be applied in a balancing test to determine whether a rezoning constitutes spot zoning. 1, the law demands that an approved zoning plan should be respected and not altered for the special benefit of a landowner when the change will cause substantial detriment to the surrounding lands or serve no substantial public purpose. 2, the nature and degree of an adverse impact upon neighboring lands is important. Lots that are rezoned in a way that is substantially inconsistent with the zoning of the surrounding area, whether more or less restrictive, are likely to be invalid. 3, another factor to consider is the suitability or unsuitability of the tract's use as it is presently zoned. The size, shape, and location of a lot may render a tract unusable or even confiscatory as zoned. 4, the amendment must bear a substantial relationship to the public health, safety, morals, or general welfare. However, the rezoning ordinance may be justified if the substantial public need exists, even though it results in the landowner's windfall.
We have to meet all of those?
It has to be serve the public interest significantly.
And you have to meet all 4 conditions, right? Not just 1 or 2.
Well,
I
it has
see
to
one
be,
eighteen eventually going that way. We
Right.
talked about this before, but you've got to,
You have to
can't
wait on the
just
conference.
make it commercial just because you want to increase the value of the property.
I mean, and she's right, Aguilar's was a spot zone, but you know, it's against the law to.
We didn't do
more
it.
spot
Yeah,
zones.
it was
Yeah.
done
Yeah,
before. our
that
time.
was-
We're
that
just
was-
trying to correct
That was
everything.
grandfathered. Yep.
And I think the Flamingo was grandfathered as well.
Yep.
But supposedly no one can find the paperwork there at the city. But that's what I'm thinking too. The Flamingo was grandfathered as commercial.
Well,
But
we-
someone changed it.
Every official zoning map in our records indicate it's always been residential. So,
But how is it residential when we had a business there all this time?
well, because in the past, the city didn't enforce zoning like they do now. There's many examples, Mike Pionis being another good example. My grandmother operated a beauty salon in a residential neighborhood. It just wasn't enforced prior as it is today.
Yeah, so what's why not change it back to how it was how we had it? We've had this business, my property there, we've had it since before my dad passed away, for years. And that's all I'm asking is just to bring it back to, because it's a beautiful building. It's a beautiful spot for commercial. And I had a renter there that wanted to put a nursery there for plants. But now, I mean, I've been just there's a lot of people that were talking to me about when the properties that burned downtown, they wanted to rent my property to put their business there because it's a beautiful location for a business.
So the thing is, you know, there was public comments in 2000 opposing a zoning change to commercial, and we actually proceeded with the rezone application last year. I think it was Martin Sandate put it forward. And again, those same neighbors came and opposed that change. So it's just a lot to consider. I mean, y'all can definitely recommend what you want, being armed with all that knowledge. But again, our records indicate it's always been zoned R4.
Gio, they were against the bar at that time because we had it as a bar at one time, and that's what they were against, the bar. But we're not going to make it a bar.
I understand.
Understand,
They
but-
also were
but-
against it this last time when y'all tried to change it.
So this is why it's coming back to planning and zoning to
Right.
continue the conversations. There's the 2 options that we've been able to find that follow our ordinances and resolutions in place to move forward correctly, not how it was assumed or done in the past. So I don't know if you guys want to walk through each one of those 4 guidelines and discuss each one and the benefits and where it lands with the property itself. If you want to you know, try to reach out to the individual in the middle, and see, like I said, he doesn't have to be present to do the
That's what I
paperwork.
would say.
I think that's what
You
we need to
reach
do. I
out
think
to the
that's what we need
individual
to
in the
do.
Middle, he doesn't have to be present, help him with the paperwork, and that would move your case forward, and that's where we left it last time.
Yep.
Is it the case that the guy, the person in the middle, if they apply to be zoned commercial, it's not spot zoning, it's just commercial?
Correct.
adjacent?
Because
It's
it's
right
consecutive.
adjacent.
Right, and so then after they're commercial, then this property could apply again for commercial.
And ideally, if
Put them
he's
at the
on
same
board,
time.
they could do them at the same
Consecutive.
time, and it
Yeah.
would just be a one and
Right.
done.
And, but that would still be subject to public comment and.
Yes.
like
Oh,
that.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yep.
Yeah, because
Go ahead. Melinda, you go ahead.
oh, yes, because I want copies of the map, because like I said, it's always been, they've had it as commercial, like on the
No,
tax.
no, it's never been commercial.
I know,
It's
but
never-
on
it's
on
never-
my,
It
On my
is never
tax-
been commercial.
I know, but let me speak, because I'm just telling you that on the taxes, on the paperwork that I receive from the tax office and everything, it says commercial. It says their Flamingo Bar / restaurant for some reason, that's commercial. So my thing is, I want like a copy of all that.
Is that not,
That's
it was
a-
identified as a
that's a-
commercial building, not that it's a
County.
commercial property?
It's identified as commercial taxes,
Yeah.
not a commercial
Yeah, so she's
property.
gonna
Go ahead.
pay commercial
Well,
taxes.
That's
on
a,
it.
she'll take up
So
the
we
tax
actually-
office, that's not us.
We had a council member reach out to the chief appraiser and he confirmed that it's not, that property isn't getting charged commercial taxes, but it's more of a, like,
It's listed as commercial, but
it's
not.
listed as commercial, but it's not being charged or assessed commercial taxes.
That doesn't make any.
Not only that, but
Yeah.
the county doesn't have the
Lots of stuff
authority
that
to designate the zoning. That is only the city's authority.
Because the appraisal district has it as commercial. So, I mean, I don't know if I've been paying, I don't think I've been paying the taxes for commercial, but on the paperwork, it all says commercial. That's why it's like so confusing.
And
I-
the- And the appraisal district is also having the same issues, trying to clean up what has been assumed commercial, assumed residential. They have their issues, but they're, like I said, they're a different entity from the city.
Now, does anybody have contact with that man that owns the house? That's kind of right there in the middle.
Linda does.
Melinda, you have contact with him?
I have his information, yes.
Not the house, the land.
The land, you mean, between the
That's
Flamingo and Aguilar's?
It's
Yeah,
an
because
empty
the
lot.
house is a little.
Where the house is?
That's an empty lot. There's no structure there.
Lot
It's
next
a
door,
lot.
and the house is one more down on the other
There's
side.
two more down.
Two more down.
Yeah, there is a house there,
Of the
You
old
know-
gas station.
and then the house, right, yeah.
There's a house right next to the Flamingo.
Yes.
Yeah, and I talked to them and they have no issue with my property being commercial.
Okay, so here's what the council member got from the chief appraiser. The property is listed as commercial in CAD records for state reporting purposes due to a short-term rent, Airbnb rental, because we had approved a special use permit for short-term rental to operate there. This classification is for state level data metrics only and does not influence city zoning, nor does city zoning affect the CAD's designation.
Thank you.
I have a question in regards to that, though. From what Linda told me, that same person that was running the Airbnb wanted to change it to a gallery, not with the letter. Why?
So under our current ordinance, you can operate a short-term rental by special use permit in any zone. But Jessica could speak to the reason why you can't operate a gallery in an R4 under a special.
Gallery is a CO,
That would be commercial.
yeah, commercial office.
It's not zoned for that.
So they gave basically a special gift. Oh, you don't have to have. If it's an Airbnb, it doesn't have to be zoned. It doesn't matter
It could
where it
be
is.
any
Get a special
zoning,
permit.
As long as it's approved by the special use permit process, which goes straight to city council.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, that's when I found out that it was not commercial, because she was gonna make it into an art studio there. And that's when I found out. Cause she was gonna go pay all the fees and everything to start her business. And that's when we found out that it was not commercial. And that's been like way over a year.
Well, Melinda, do you think you can get a hold of that property owner next door.
So that's, he's gonna be the one to,
That's your holdup right now.
So what she was saying is that you yourself and also that property owner, if he wants to go, if he's okay with going commercial, can make an application the same day. And then it will pass through.
No.
Is that-
It's still gotta
what-
come
it-
before.
well,
planning and
yeah,
zoning.
okay,
Ah,
so
But it wouldn't be spot zoning, so we could easily
Yeah.
say yes.
Right,
But if they did it together, maybe she could help get it
yeah. So
processed.
he doesn't have to be present.
No,
It could be emailed, the forms, PDFs back and forth. Yeah, so the forms can be printed off online and then they could be emailed, verified through building services, make sure everything's in line. We do have a time period of when you submit for rezoning applications, and then it would go on the following agenda for P and Z. P and Z would make the recommendation. Of course, it goes through the public hearings, and then it goes to council.
yep, yeah, I know. Wow. I think, any further comments on this one? I'm gonna make the motion and postpone this for a month.
When you get to the action items, you'll.
Okay,
postpone
okay,
it.
yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna contact that owner again to see what he tells me this time around.
Okay.
I'll try calling him and see what he says this time, and I'll let him know that he can do everything online. I'll call the city tomorrow to get all the information for him. So that way I can have everything on hand when I talk to him to see if he's willing to do it this time around.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, discussion item number 2.
Discussion item B is the discussion regarding the zoning designation of 407 South Third Street. The property ID of the subject property is 12244. The property owner of record is Beatrice Alicia Grisman. This item is the second item that originated on the discussion with the city council. They asked to push it back to planning and zoning for further discussion. This property is currently zoned commercial. We have all the documentation that it is zoned commercial, a signed letter requesting it to go zoned commercial. The current property owner believes that it shouldn't have been zoned commercial, wasn't approved, and is requesting to go to an R4. So this is kind of the reverse side of going. I believe Gio, I don't think Jessica, none of us have an issue with the process. She just needs to fill out the application, submit it so we can move forward with the project.
That's right smack in the middle of R4.
Yes.
I mean, there's
So,
nothing R4.
That's trails
I
all over,
think
yeah, yeah.
the discussion really is, and then I know this is also in Lucia's, is this in your board?
Yes.
I don't know if it's an issue of filling out the application, but I think everyone pretty much is on board with having it rezoned back to an R4. She just needs to fill out the application, pay the fees and go through the process.
Yeah, it looked like the whole area was all full
And
already.
it's 6 and 7 remain commercial, and then 1 through 5 and
Right.
the others to go R4. Why 6 and 7 remaining commercial?
I believe that is where the old grocery store is located.
Now, which people live in.
So it's a historic, it was a very old grocery store called Moreno's, right, cat corner from Baines Park.
Okay, yeah, I guess
She
I know
wants it
that.
to remain commercial.
She wants to remain commercial.
She has like,
Okay.
aspirations to do something with it
Okay.
later on for historic
Alright.
purposes.
Is that Margaret's place? Margaret's,
Yes,
okay.
Yes, it is.
Does the
Thank you.
person that we're talking about, does she know that all she needs to do is fill out an application?
Yes,
Yes.
but she's under the impression that we changed it without her consent, but we have the letter signed, it's in the packet, it's showing that her mother approached us in 1975 and we changed it as requested. So she just needs to go through the normal process, pay the fee, and I don't think it would be a problem.
I'll tell her.
I think
Yeah.
that's the recommendation from P and Z would be to follow the process and move forward.
Okay.
Okay.
And that is all.
Thank you.
Let's do C. Sarah, you're it.
D,
Read that one.
discuss the current signage requirements and placement of signs with the city, including regulations and rules regarding which zone that signs may be placed. And discuss possible amendments to sign ordinance. So
Didn't we just amend the signing?
we did,
Yeah.
and I didn't know what we were doing.
But they
It was
haven't
my first
implemented it
meeting and
yet,
I
so
was-
you're still reading the old sign.
I came unprepared. And we were sharing one of these. So,
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, so my question is, I have lots of questions about this. Obviously, it's not gonna pertain to 601 South Walker in my book. Because that has to be rezoned first. But my question is how much is a permit and do the regulations of signage change in different districts?
Yes, currently the fees for a sign is 50 cents per square foot plus your inspection, which would be $50.
So you have that. So, and is it different in different districts?
So the only place that we have strict regulations on signage would be in residential. The only time you can have a sign in residential is if you're a home occupation, which you would have to go through the special use, conditional use process, and it's a size requirement of 1 square foot. So everywhere else inside city limits, the only restrictions are what are in our ordinance as far as what is prohibited. So we can, we don't allow any signs over 30 feet in height. There are certain things that we don't prohibit. And then also obstructing a public right of way. There's certain things of that nature that are in our ordinance already. Not much of that has changed in the edits. I'm not sure if you saw the draft. The most of the edits in the sign ordinance are definitions of what actually those signs are.
That's still in draft form though, right?
Yes,
It
but
is.
what's on our
It
website
is.
right now, currently, what we are actually working off of
Right.
is what is on our
That's
ordinance
the
right now. That is what is adopted. That is the law that that we're governed by. And so, it's 50 cents per square foot plus your inspection, and then, the whatever's prohibited is only in commercial.
And so if you have a home business, you can only have 1 square foot sign. Is that
Home
right?
occupation, you have to have a special use, conditional use permit, has to meet the requirements of a home occupation. And then, yes, there's the requirements for the sign size and where it can be placed.
Paying anything.
Well, I mean, the question, I still think about like, CPAs and stuff like that, who live in their houses, who live in their homes. I mean, they're already nationwide, that has been something that's available, and you just write off the 25 square feet portion, whatever that room is that you're occupying. So why is that different?
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question.
I'm wondering why you have to have a special permit to do something like that.
It's
To regulate
the
the area.
regulation inside
In,
city
in,
limits.
in residential?
Keep everything
Yeah.
regulated.
Yeah, to make sure that it's not some giant neon sign in the middle of the
Well,
lane.
that-
Yeah, we're preserving the neighborhoods for families.
That I
That's what
get.
residential is for.
Okay. You know, again, we'll divert back to where I live right there on the corner of the one way, and if you put a sign on this side of it, which they've done before, they've had to move it because traffic's coming this way. You can't, that's why the visitor center sets so far back, because you can't see and it obstructs the traffic. And
Mhm.
that's pretty much
Okay,
the whole reason.
I just wanted to understand that.
Okay. D, you're up again.
Which you can talk to Jessica during the week anytime too.
Yeah.
With questions.
Yeah, with questions, yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I just wanted to just do it all at once, cause I work all the time.
Me too.
Okay, discussion regarding the zoning designation of 40.
No.
That's not D.
D is you.
D. Discussion permits for special business operations, including the use of special use permits, conditional use permits, and what is allowed under this current zoning ordinance. And recommend changes based on citizen needs. So what is the due process of someone getting a special permit? And does that pertain to anything? Does it pertain to specific businesses, I should say?
Currently, under our ordinance, anybody that sells alcohol would need a special use conditional use permit inside city limits. And it's designated only for commercial use, so you can't have a special use permit for alcohol in residential, it's only for businesses.
Right.
Short-term rentals have to have a special use conditional use permit.
Mhm.
And like was brought up earlier, that there's no zone that you can't have a short-term rental. It can be in any residential, you can have a short-term rental, and any commercial, you can have a short-term rental. So it's pretty much across the board available. And special use condition, I can look it up because I don't know all of them. I know that if you want to put a school in a residential,
The
Huh?
beauty shop thing.
that was
Paramount.
newly added in, yes,
With-
that is considered, yes. Yeah.
That's basically what I'm getting at. How do you,
So
how do you get approved to be able to run a home business? I mean, is it basically traffic that everybody's worried about? In a residential area?
Traffic, parking.
It's gonna be
strangers
parking
coming
requirements
in and
and
out,
yeah,
things like that.
Yeah.
Noxious odors, depending on what they're doing.
Okay, so.
No
Like Bach
retail.
Burger, I just bought a house over there in that district. And I was thinking about operating through Facebook to sell my inventory. So, that I'm stuck with. So. What's the process for that?
so Bach Burger is commercial, it's C2
Because
business.
it's on 90,
It's a business, yeah, so I don't know what property you purchased.
it's a block away.
So if it's residential, you won't be able to do any retail sales where you have people coming and going, even with a special use conditional use permit.
Online you can do.
You could do it online, like an
That's what I
eBay,
mean,
an
like
eBay store.
Facebook, eBay, well,
Yeah,
eBay.
There's
I
no
can't do
special
it.
use permit needed for online.
So I know all I have to have is, I already have it, is the license through Texas for $125, whatever it is. I can sell from my own house online.
What are you selling? Just make sure what you're.
Well, I'm just selling pots and plants.
Okay.
Not selling drugs.
No, but
Before we
this,
just
this might be
everything
something better
okay,
taken
let's
up with
make
the
sure
city
we're
rather than
safe.
planning and zoning.
I wanna know what it is before I go there.
So section
We-
20,
Okay, so you're asking the city now, here.
section 20, it describes what a conditional use permit is and what it actually is doing for the community. And so the conditional use permit is to it's a unique operating characteristic. And it takes special consideration for that reason, but it shouldn't change the dynamic of the neighborhood. So.
Right, no signage, basically.
And traffic, so you can't have people coming and going on a regular basis at like a retail sale.
Well, it's different because you don't have the parking, right? And you're selling online, so you get onesies and twosies.
Parking is irrelevant.
Yeah, there is no parking in Alpine, that's true.
Corner by a lot, you put in a paid
Technically, it's
parking.
based off of, you shouldn't have a home occupation, you shouldn't have a special use permit. And then it'd have to be based off of the percentage of her house, and you can only have a certain percentage of your house being occupied as that, and it can't change the flow and dynamic of the neighborhood.
And she can come visit with you to get all
Okay.
these questions, okay?
Right.
Okay, E. No, yeah, E.
Yeah.
Oh, you're up again?
Me again.
Go there.
This was a talk to Jessica too.
Discuss the health and safety permit requirements for businesses and recommend updates to improve the current regulations. So how much is a permit for that? And when I was putting together the plant nursery thing, I realized I'd have to have a ramp for handicap at some point. And it already had fire alarms and all that stuff and 2 exit doors. Is that something that you guys are doing for retail? Or are you just doing it for restaurants and bars, that type of thing?
So we don't have. I don't know where. How did it say? Special. Where's
The
that?
health and safety.
Health and
Yeah, we don't
safety
have a health and
permit.
safety permit. There's nothing that we do that's of that nature. We have a certificate of occupancy. Which is certificate of occupancy is this is a safety inspection to make sure that whoever's occupying and anybody that's coming into that business, it's safe. And we do that every time an occupancy changes. And, that's $100 for a certificate of occupancy. So,
So what, you apply for it, you pay the $100, and then you come and inspect it,
yes,
is that correct?
and there's more than likely corrections that need to be done. We do not,
From what I
do
understand.
ADA.
yeah. There's
inspections.
always
The state does
corrections.
that.
Okay,
Okay, then you got F.
I have F too, I don't even know what F is now, I thought those were the only ones. Discuss the $500 fee to start a business in Alpine. Someone told me that the city council was gonna raise a $500 from $250 to $500 to start a business.
It's for Airbnb. Remember,
It's
we
not-
increased it for Airbnbs.
It's not for any business.
As I recall, we
I
took
don't
the
know where that number came
250 to 500 for Airbnbs.
There was like a permit fee, an annual permit fee, and in discussions, like they talked about it, but the current discussion is keeping it at $250 all year round, initial and
And
renewal.
So the short-term rental permit would be a $250 initial and $250 renewal. It'd be the same.
Per property.
Yeah, there was no discussion in regards to business
Okay, but the $250, these people pay every year?
for the short-term rentals.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. That's it. There's no more me.
Okay, all right. We're gonna take 5 minutes and then we will come to the action items. It's 6:25.
Airbnb in your place.
I think keep one in my house. I'm tearing up my floors. I like it like it. I do it then. It is beautiful, but I like, I can do backyard events and some personal events, but I'm just picky about the condition of the property and maintain the integrity of it. You know, it has been an Airbnb and it got apparently just was run down and, you know, wasn't well cared for.
They were
We've
here.
gotten it, no, I think some of them were here, but we've gotten it back to a reasonable condition. And it still needs some stuff done to it, but at the same time, I mean, just some of the stuff that's in there is irreplaceable. Yeah, you just put Airbnb people in there, yeah, and the hardwood floors, the original hardwood floors and, so I'm just happy with it the way it is. I may eventually do something, but like I said, we do personal, private backyard events that we feel comfortable with.
I always thought it should be something, but it is so broken up, all those little houses.
Well, it's not really broken up, and it flows really well for entertainment purposes, you know, the kitchen and everything, but it's just, when it was made more public, it was not cared for.
Rachel Waller told me she had problems, and she bought that old building, the old Alpine Avalanche building. So she,
Oh, yeah.
bought the little condo that's upstairs, cause she had problems with it, it broke stuff.
Yeah, well, you have to be careful in the old property right now. Benjamin, have you spilled sewer over at your place?
Yeah.
Okay, it's all the way down the line.
Yeah.
To us, as a visitor center, you better get it checked, cause it's
Yeah.
past my.
No, theirs go the opposite direction. They told me, I had to have it cleared out over New Year's Eve, but they said that for whatever reason from Alcove and Granada, the sewer flows to 4th Street where Cedar is. And then your sewer in the Cow Dog flows towards 3rd Street.
Mine doesn't flow, it's always gone toward, cause I can tell you, I have caps on it, and I can look in there and the water literally flows around out.
Do you have?
Oh yeah, to the alley, but I was saying in the alley, it goes in separate directions in the alley. That's what the city told me when they came to clear it
Well,
out.
I turned it into the city and told them to come check it. They'll probably be out in a couple of weeks, cause they're so backed up.
Yeah.
But I haven't had any trouble with it. I mean, we don't even flush paper at my house.
Mhm.
And I have had no trouble whatsoever, but I smelled it the other day and I opened the cap and it's like halfway up the thing.
Yeah.
And it's nothing, it's not on my property, I don't think. I think it's in the city somewhere. No, it's not.
Yeah, we had a
It's all
big
been-
issue.
Our mine were all redone, yeah.
Yeah, we had a big issue between Christmas and New Year's. I had it like stopped up into both buildings and the city came and cleared it all out and it was just, you can't, when you have 30 toilets. But our issue was, it was feminine hygiene
It is,
products.
they grease it.
Wipes,
It's wipes.
yeah. As of the plumber, there was so many wipes. And so we have
Wow.
signs on all of our toilets saying like, please, like it's a 100-year-old building.
Don't flush the paper.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
but when you have, you know, a party with 200 people and they're drinking, they're not reading the signs. Yeah. But we'll probably, but yeah, the city recommended that we just probably like once every 6 months have them clear out the lines through the alley. So we just did it.
well, I was worried whenever they put in the restrooms over at the visitor center, you know,
Mhm.
but they completely redid everything.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that's been what, 2-3 years now? And no problem whatsoever. And now all of a sudden it's like, where did that come from?
Probably cow dog.
It could be, because they're on our line too, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah. If you're seeing grease in your line, it's probably from cow dog.
I bet it's cow dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have a grease trap and we get it cleaned out every 6 weeks and. Yeah, and like I said, I forget what the person's name was, but they told me
But
that
that
all
would
of
make
my.
sense because they've just really started
Mhm. Yeah,
jamming.
just start taking
over
out.
here. Yeah.
I'm sure they have a trap too, but they, you know, their food is especially greasy. Uh,
But you know, they had the washateria there before, so you would think that they would have been equipped to carry
Figure it out.
but when-
water lines though,
Yeah, yeah.
necessarily not sewer lines.
Yeah, well, also with the laundromat, like you have so much extra water going through to flush things out. Like the issue they're telling me I have is like, they said that for me, I don't have any sewage like upstream of me. And so I need to like be running extra water every so often to really push everything down.
Yeah, because we're minimal use of, at
Yeah.
my place. Everybody looks at like, nobody's ever here, so, you know. Interesting.
All right, 6:30, back in session, and we are moving on to action items. Action item A. Approve rezone 2025-0601, a rezone application for the following the applicant, Elizardo Aranda, to establish an automotive shop at the subject property. The subject property is located at 702 East Murphy Street and is legally described as lots 1 and 2, block 25, Hancock Addition, to the city of Alpine, Brooks County, Texas. The property owner of record is Elizardo Aranda. The property identification number of the subject property is 34803. The current zoning classification is C1 Neighborhood Commercial District. The zoning classification, if the rezoning is approved, will be M1 Industrial.
If we can just get a motion
Good.
to approve and then a second, and then
Yep.
we can go into discussion.
So motion to approve. A second. Now we can begin discussions. Any comments on that? Anybody in the public want to comment on that also? You just have to let us know.
Is there any
So-
downside to being industrial instead of C2? If they only need to be C2.
It should be C2. I mean, that's why they're doing M1.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically C2 would be a spot zone because there's no bordering.
Okay, yeah.
But since it's directly across from railroad property, M1 allows any commercial designation.
And any neighbor issues that we know of, or?
We
No.
sent letters to neighbors within 200 feet and we haven't heard anything about it. And in fact, the gentleman that was here earlier happened to be the property behind
Oh, okay.
that property and he didn't mention it, so.
Seems like the perfect place to me.
Oh, I looked at it, but you know, I was like, okay, well, C2 allows for automotive, so why M1? And that just makes sense. But we're saying is the C2 is out of place in the middle of the M1. And let's see the map, so.
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Future environmental impacts, being an M1.
M1 lets a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah.
Scary.
But in the M1 across the street,
No,
I don't know if they'd ever do anything, it's kind of like narrow and.
I don't think they can do anything across the street, yeah. But,
Because you'd be right there on the railroad track.
because the tracks are there and they own so much of the property too, but, okay, and for the comments,
Moved both.
we have a move to approve,
Yes.
all vote. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
It is unanimous. No name. Okay, Gio, you want to read the second one? It's
Yeah.
longer.
Action item B is approved rezone 2025-06-02. Any rezone application allowing the applicant Mike Pionin to establish a commercial building at the subject property. The subject property is located at 1009 East Gallego Avenue and is legally described as all of lot 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And the east one half of lot 3 and 9 in block 33, Hancock Addition south of the railroad. Save and accept the north 20 Veris of lots 4 and 5 and the north 20 Veris of the east one half of lot 3, block 33, Hancock Addition south of the railroad, as the same appears in the map or plat records on file in the office of the county clerk of Licking County, Texas. The property owner of record is Mike G. Pionis. The property identification number of the subject property is 10748. The current zoning classification of the subject property is R4 Mobile Home District. The zoning classification, if the rezone application is approved, will be C1 Neighborhood Commercial District.
Thank you. Motion to approve. Second. Okay, any discussions? Go ahead.
I have a question to help me understand this. In June of last year, we met on this very same property, not this property, but the properties on either side. Yeah. good, yeah, Okay. It was 10746 and 10749, which are either side of this building, I understand, because you're 10748.
1009.
1009, there's nothing around there.
He's past Sean's place.
Yeah.
The next property connecting to the Hopper
Are you
property.
talking about the property ID that comes out of the?
Yes, I'm talking about the property IDs.
So that's assigned by the CAT. I don't know if there's an actual,
They're not necessarily adjacent.
yeah, a system to that.
Okay, all right, so what happened to the laundromat? That we don't know, but it would be right between you and the food pantry, correct?
Right. The laundromat has 1.5 lots frontage on the Gallego,
Mm-hmm.
and I have the other 3.5 lots. So, you know, you can either go through maybe one of my entrances, because when I,
It
the
just,
city was, getting sidewalks and, curbing and all that in that area. I requested that I have 4 entrances into my property, because we were always thinking about setting up, different kinds of businesses out there.
okay,
And so I do have entrances. You probably have to make his own, or if you want to see his ours, you know, you're welcome to.
I know at the time there were questions about how, if the property was big enough with all, you know.
I don't believe you.
It was rezoned. It was rezoned to C1.
Yeah, we did rezone it. I
Yeah.
remember we
And
approved it for
that's
the
what the fix
laundromat, but that would be,
They have just had a baby, like, probably
Yeah.
happened.
But then nothing's broke ground. There's no plans been submitted
no,
for it.
no, I drove it. I know
Yeah.
that. That was my question was so what was the holdup? And then all of a sudden here we have this one right next to it.
It gave him an opportunity to rezone because he wouldn't be adjacent to anything. So
Okay.
now he's butted up to a C1, so he can rezone his property to
Okay,
commercial.
that was my question.
Which is
It
good
didn't
to
make
get
sense
him
with what was
seeing
looking
where he
at
needs to
at
go.
the time.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And it's not spot zoning now. So.
No,
This
it's,
is the same as the issue for property.
mhm.
Okay, any further comments?
Well, and it's the Benny Keith across from it, which is why we went
That's right.
C1 before.
Right.
C1 or C2? I don't remember.
C1.
C1, C1.
The Alamo Cafe is to be in the same building that he has his office down, so. The Alamo Cafe, and then there was a Lucas Big Salon. And,
When did it go? Have you always, when did it go R4? Was it always R4?
According to the same exact circumstances,
before.
Ms. Vega, yes, it's always, according to our records, been zoned residential.
So this is getting it legal.
Yeah.
to
Right.
Him operate how he
Okay.
wants.
All right.
and I
Thank
have,
you.
But the appraisal district in here, where they have it as commercial, so,
Same scenario.
Same
Yeah,
scenario.
same, but they're different from us, so.
and yes. And the county have put down everything to do with,
Okay,
up inside the city limits.
Okay, no further comments. Are we ready to vote? All in favor, vote aye.
okay.
It's unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Okay, this one here, approve a recommendation regarding the zoning designation of 601 South Walker. The property ID of the subject property is 10842. Property owner record is Melinda Vega. I believe we're going to, I'm gonna make the motion to postpone this for a month to let her try to resolve the issue of the spot zoning.
I second. Okay. Third second.
Any further discussion?
We're close.
Any more? Yeah,
But we're good.
any further discussions?
Yeah.
So we vote to postpone?
Yes.
That's
Aye.
unanimous?
I have a question because like, you're gonna give me that 1 month. And, but what if he still doesn't want to? What's gonna happen then?
What if he doesn't have what?
Like if he still doesn't want to change it yet, he's not ready to change it to commercial?
Well, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we cross it, when we get to it, because yeah, that's the hangup right now. That's your hangup.
Is there a lot behind it, Jessica? They don't do that too?
They own a lot
No,
behind it, but
there's
it's
a
full of
large lot
cars.
between the gas station and her property that one person owns that they need to contact to rezone with them. And that was my first suggestion the first time I saw it.
Right. I remember all
Cause
that.
they can do it, there's a second option. Or is
The-
it-
The second option is waiting for the comprehensive plan, but we're still working on the draft
Yeah,
map.
that's. gonna
Yeah.
be-
So like, obviously, historically, it makes sense for town to grow in that direction.
Yes.
Commercial, and have that as our comprehensive plan. But if we don't have a comprehensive plan in place, we can't make that decision as commissioners to do that.
But you know, she has a property behind it that's full of cars. Does that change anything before the
it's-
next residential place?
No.
Does
Um,
it?
No, that's a code
Not really.
issue.
Okay, just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, making, like, that's what constitutes the spot zone is because it's not in alignment with the comprehensive plan, that we don't have one, but if we did. And the comprehensive plan went to planning and zoning city council and it said the main thoroughfares would be commercial. Well, then you'd have that comprehensive plan to back up that decision to make it a lawful action.
Yep. And have D, approve a recommendation regarding the zoning designation of 407 South Third Street. The property ID of the subject property is 12244. The property owner of record is Beatriz Alicia Glazing. I'm not quite sure how you say that. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Second.
Is there a second? Okay, any discussions on this one?
Already.
And we just need to
Application.
confirm that recommendation, so I could have it for the minutes and let the city council know. The recommendation was for her to go through the rezoning process,
Right.
pay the fee. And proceed that way, is that right, or?
Yes, that
Yeah,
is
I think
correct.
so.
Yep.
Isn't that the one that's?
So that is our recommendation. Ready to vote? All in favor, vote aye.
Right.
Aye.
It is unanimous. Any board member comments? I have one. I feel sorry for the post office driving around and trying to find addresses is, I don't know if there's a requirement on that. But it's hard. Some of these places are just not marked at all.
No,
So I
it's
thought-
fun trying to drive them when you- before the meeting, just
Right.
to get a look at
I
them.
drove them,
I think that's the one, but I'm not sure, and that's how I missed the grocery.
I
store.
drove them Saturday and
Where's
Sunday
that
both.
from?
Cause I go back and look at Google Earth, then I come back and drive and go, this one.
I don't even
So-
take Google, I just get my.
No, I did both. I did both. If I could find it, but no further board comments. After convert to civilian time, 6:42, we stand adjourned.